Hello everybody and welcome to Double Play. In this video, I'll be ranking all starting catchers in Major League Baseball, going from 30 to the best at number 1. If you like what you see, make sure you like, comment, and subscribe. This will be starting a new series that Jack and I are going to do to rank all positions in baseball. So without further ado, let's get into it. Starting off this list at number 30, we have Elias Diaz of the Colorado Rockies. There isn't much that Diaz does well. He had a 67 WRC plus in 2022, and he's only once had an above league average season, which was in 2018. So there's not much upside he offers from the offensive side. And he's also one of the worst defenders at the position with a negative 15 defensive runs saved above average in 2022, although he did have a 9 defensive runs saved in 2021, but he's not a great defender. Coming in at number 29, we have Austin Hedges of the Pittsburgh Pirates. He offers absolutely no upside offensively. He had a 42 WRC plus last season. He offers a little bit of power with 7 home runs in 105 games. He's now just simply a defensive catcher. 8 defensive runs saved last season. He's a good stopgap for the Pirates for a team that's not going to compete for a couple years. And he's good to hold down the position until Henry Davis will be ready for the majors in a couple years. 28, we have Tucker Barnhart of the Chicago Cubs. 2022 was his worst season kind of by far in his career with a 62 WRC plus and a negative 8 defensive runs saved. He's never been an above league average hitter in his career, but he's always hovered around being an average defender. He'll get the chance to be the starter with Wilson Contreras leaving the Cubs, and we'll see what he can do. At 27, the starting catcher for the Miami Marlins, we got Jacob Stallings. He's also not great offensively. He's got a 71 WRC plus. He's always been around league average the last few years, although he does have non-existent power, finishing 2022 with 4 home runs in 114 games. He's also kind of an up-and-down defender. He had negative 9 defensive runs saved last season, although he did have 21 in 2021, so it's hard to gauge there. He's been above average for the majority of his career, with 2022 being the worst and 2021 being the best, so we'll see what he can do for the Marlins, who are a team that looks like they won't compete for a couple years, so he's a good player for them. At 26, we got Carson Kelly of the Arizona Diamondbacks. He had a good 2021, followed up by a down 2022 with a 73 WRC plus and a .4 WAR in 104 games. He's an average defender who's serviceable at the catcher position, but for a team like D-backs, who I think could be in the playoff picture this year, he will have to perform if they want to get there. At the 25 spot, we got Reese McGuire of the Boston Red Sox. McGuire would get the chance to be a starting catcher for the Red Sox after being a backup kind of platoon for the last couple of years. During that time, he was an above-average defender and a slightly below-average hitter with a 90 WRC plus and OPS plus in 2022, both of which were his best since 2019, so he'll get to be at 25. At 24, the projected starting catcher for the Los Angeles Angels, it's Logan O'Hoppe. Now, I don't know much about O'Hoppe as a prospect because he only has 5 games in the majors. He looked good in those 5 games, but it's hard to project for me. He ranks as the 64th best prospect in baseball, so he comes in at 24. At 23, we got Shea Langeliers of the Oakland A's. Shea was the big return in the Matt Olson trade. And while he only has played 40 games in the bigs, he's shown promise with 6 home runs in 40 games, so he projects to maybe have some power in the major leagues. He hit .218 in that time with a 97 WRC plus. He did strike out a lot in that small sample size, but he projects well as a prospect. I expect him to be higher in the next year after getting more time in the bigs, but right now, he's 23. At 22, we got the catcher for the San Francisco Giants, Joey Bart. He's bounced around AAA and the majors since being brought up in 2020, and he kind of struggled that whole time. He finally started to show some flashes of the prospect he was thought to be, but still hovered around being a league average hitter and has been a below league average defender. I think he still can live up to his hype as a prospect, but we have yet to see it, so he fits in at 22. Coming in at number 21, we have Austin Nola of the San Diego Padres. At his best, Nola is a league average hitter and one of the worst defensive catchers in baseball. He also ranks towards the bottom in both framing and pop time. He just offers no promise at the catching position. He does offer some upside offensively for the Padres, and he will get pitched to in that stacked lineup, but he comes in at number 21 in the rankings. Starting off the top 20, we've got Martin Maldonado of the Houston Astros. He's been a well below average hitter his whole career with a 72 career WRC plus, which was 70 in 2022. He still hits for a little bit of power. He had 15 home runs last year, but a 186 batting average isn't great even from a catcher's position. He's always commonly been known as a great defensive catcher, but I wasn't really impressed with his career defensive metrics, as he always hovered being around a league average catcher in terms of defensive runs saved, and he even had 9 pass balls in 2022, which was the worst of his career. Although he does have a top 10 pop time and a pretty good arm among catchers, so that allows him to throw out some runners, although it might be soon for the Astros to move on from the 36-year-old catcher if they want to continue to win. At number 19, we got the starting catcher for the New York Mets, Omar Narvaez. Narvaez looks to be the Mets starting catcher until Francisco Alvarez is called up. He doesn't offer much upside offensively, although he has shown he can be a league average hitter at his best. He's also vastly improved as a defender from his early years in the majors, but he still only hovers around being slightly above average at the position. He'll hold down the position until the number one prospect in baseball, Francisco Alvarez, can take over. At number 18, we've got Christian Bethancourt of the Tampa Bay Rays. Christian played well in 2022 after spending a year in Korea. He put up slightly above average numbers at the plate with 101 WRC+ and hit 11 homers in 101 games. Also defensively, he played well at 4 defensive runs saved. He has the number one catcher arm in baseball with 88 miles per hour throwdown behind the dish. We've seen him do that on the mound, so he's able to throw out runners. At 17, we got Eric Haas of the Detroit Tigers. Haas is actually a very good hitter, and he's one of the better hitting catchers in baseball. He put up a 112 WRC+ in 2022 while hitting .254 with 14 home runs. However, Haas is one of the worst defensive catchers in baseball. He ranks in the bottom half in framing runs saved and pop time while posting a -9 defensive runs saved in 2022. He's a bad defender, but provides upside at the plate, which puts him in the top 20. At number 16, we got Mike Zunino, now of the Cleveland Guardians. Zunino only played 36 games in 2022 because of injury, but he did not look good in those games, posting a 43 WRC+. However, his 134 WRC+ in 2021 makes him a little bit difficult to rank in this list. His defense has been up and down numbers-wise the past few years, but his success in the past is enough to put him at 16. Starting off the top 15, we've got Keibert Ruiz of the Washington Nationals. Ruiz had an average season both offensively and defensively in 2022, but he projects to be better by Fangraphs in 2023. He was one of the key pieces the Nationals got in the Trey Turner and Max Scherzer trade, and the Nationals are still hoping he can live up to his value they expect him to have. His switch-hitting bat puts him here, and he has the chance to rise after a good 2023 season. At number 14, we've got the new starter for the Minnesota Twins, Christian Vazquez. Vazquez hits for a good average and can get on base, but overall the advanced metrics like him as a league average hitter. I was surprised to learn that Christian Vazquez is actually a very good defender as he put up an 11 defensive runs saved in 2022. I like Christian Vazquez as a player, and I would take him over the guys below him. At number 13, probably the most difficult guy to rank on this list is Yasmani Grandal of the Chicago White Sox. Many thought he was the best catcher in baseball going into the 2022 season. His WRC+ dropped 90 points from 158 to 68, and his on-base percentage dropped 119 points from 420 to 301. This can probably be attributed to his swing rate going up 7%. He's always been a good framer behind the dish, but had a below-average defensive runs saved last season. I don't expect him to play as the 13th ranked catcher in baseball, as he will probably be much better or much worse, but his track record puts him ranked here. At number 12, we got Jonah Heim of the Texas Rangers, who kind of came on by surprise this year. He's a switch hitter who hits better from the left side. In all, he hit .227 with a 99 WRC+ last season. However, Heim was the second best catcher in baseball at framing and put up an 8 defensive runs saved behind the plate, which significantly boosts his value. I don't see Heim projecting to be ranked much higher, but he is an above-average catcher for the Texas Rangers. Coming in at number 11, we have Salvador Perez of the Kansas City Royals. Everyone kind of knows what Salvador Perez is. He's a guy who hits well above average and hits for a lot of power, but is a poor defender. He's the 4th worst catcher in baseball framing-wise and put up a -5 and -4 defensive runs saved in the last 2 seasons. He had a down year at the plate to his standards 1 year after leading the American League in homers, but still posted 109 WRC+ in 2022, which earns him the 11th spot. Starting off the top 10, we have Jose Trevino of the New York Yankees. He's coming off a 2021 All-Star Game nod, and while he does provide some offside offensively, he's around a league average hitter, but what boosts him into the top 10 is he is the best defensive catcher in baseball by any metric last season. He was a Gold Glove winner, and if he could put up similar offensive numbers in 2023, he will continue to be a top 10 catcher based off defensive production alone. At number 9, we have Tyler Stevenson of the Cincinnati Reds. Stevenson was well on his way to a potential All-Star Game nod in 2022 until he got injured. In 50 games, he had a 134 WRC+, and in a full 2021 season, he had a 110 WRC+. He's an average defender behind the plate, but his offensive production puts him in the top 10. At number 8, we've got William Contreras for the Milwaukee Brewers now. In Contreras' rookie year for the Braves, he earned a spot in the All-Star Game while putting up a 138 WRC+ in 90 games. He isn't a great defensive catcher, but he was a big pickup for the Brewers, who needed some offensive help. Contreras can bring this no matter if he's playing DH or catcher. At number 7, we've got Cal Raleigh of the Seattle Mariners, who can honestly be a little bit higher on this list, but I'm going to slot him in at the 7th spot just because of what the guys above him have done. He put up a 121 WRC plus in 2022 and was 5th in framing runs saved among catchers. He also had a 14 defensive runs saved behind the dish. With another good season, Raleigh can definitely be a top 5, but the Mariners definitely have a star on their hands. At number 6, we've got the newly acquired St. Louis Cardinal, Wilson Contreras, who will be an amazing replacement for Yadier Molina. While he's not the defensive catcher that Yadier was, Contreras might be the best offensive catcher in baseball. He put up 20 bombs in 2021 and 2022 and had a 132 WRC plus last year. Contreras makes a scary Cardinals lineup even scarier, and the Cardinals will be my pick again to win the NL Central, adding Contreras. Kicking off the top 5 is newly acquired Atlanta Brave Sean Murphy. Sean Murphy had the best season of his short career last season, posting a 122 WRC plus in 148 games in a frankly bad Oakland A's lineup. He's also a Gold Glove winner behind the dish, and he's a top 10 in framing and pop time. The Braves locked in a top 5 catcher in his prime for 6 years at only $72 million. His offense in that lineup is going to look really scary, and his numbers might improve. At number 4, we have Alejandro Kirk of the Toronto Blue Jays. Kirk solidified himself as one of the best catchers in baseball last season with an all-star season and a 129 WRC plus in 139 games, which only 78 were from behind the plate, the rest being at DH. He benefits from being able to split time at catcher with Danny Jansen, who would also rank highly on this list if we weren't only doing starters. Even though he splits times at catcher, Kirk is no slouch defensively as he is one of the best framers in the sport and posted a 9 defensive runs saved last season. At only 24 years old, Kirk looks to have a bright future in baseball. At number 3, we've got Will Smith of the Los Angeles Dodgers. Not to be confused with this Will Smith or this Will Smith. Will Smith has been one of the better hitters in baseball, period, since coming up to the big leagues in 2019. He has a WRC plus of 130 in his career, and the only thing that holds Will Smith back from being a top 2 catcher is the guys above him, and that he's been an average framer at best. Although he did have a 7 defensive runs saved in 2022, which was the best of his career, he should be in for a nice payday from the Dodgers or another team when he's eligible for free agency in a couple of years. At number 2, we've got Adley Rutschman of the Baltimore Orioles. If it's crazy to say that Adley is a top 2 catcher in baseball, even though he's only played 113 big league games, then call me crazy. The 24-year-old catcher had 13 bombs and a 133 WRC plus and a 5.3 WAR in only 113 games in his time in the majors. While Adley has looked much better as a lefty, he offers a top bat from both sides of the plate, being a switch hitter, and is an elite defender behind the plate. He was a big reason that Orioles played so far above expectations last season, and get used to Adley being here in the rankings because he is not going anywhere. And now for the best catcher in baseball, JT Realmuto. JT has been consistently atop this list for a few years now, and his best offensive season in his career, with a 128 WRC plus in 2022, earns him the number 1 spot in these rankings. JT hit 20 bombs and stole 20 bags, which is still ridiculous to me to do as a catcher. And while JT is just an average framer, he had an 11 defensive runs saved last season and has the fastest pop time in all of baseball. He's one of the centerpieces of this Phillies team that just went to the World Series and is under contract until his age 34 season in 2025. That's all from today's catcher rankings. If you like what you saw, make sure you like, subscribe, and comment what you thought of these rankings. We'll be ranking all position groups going forward, so make sure you subscribe and follow along.